The AWE touring system that we have here is going to be a premium catback option for the 2024 and newer non-active Mustang GT owners who want to add a little bit more volume and a much deeper tone thanks to things like the included H-pipe and resonators. Now, interested GT owners can look forward to a stellar build here, including premium 304 grade stainless steel throughout, along with AWE's drone eliminating switch path tech, and of course the black diamond tips, all for right around that $2,000 price point. All right, guys, full disclosure, I'm a really big fan of the touring system here for two big reasons. First up, the volume level, and of course the inclusion of the H-pipe, which I've been a big fan of for many years. I think it gives the system a nice deeper tone overall, but that is totally subjective, and ultimately you guys can be the judge. But going back to the volume that this system delivers with the factory manifolds in place, and to me, it is gonna offer just the right amount of bark overall, and good enough to come in at a very strong 3 out of 5 on my 1 to 5 or 1 to wake the neighbor scale. Now keep in mind, guys, this is with the factory manifolds or headers still in place. Now, when I did switch out the factory manifolds to an aftermarket long tube on my S550 with the touring in place, the system did get remarkably louder. So that is something to keep in mind if you're looking to stay with a more mild system overall. I will say, as long as you have those factory manifolds in place, this system will deliver that really nice, not too loud, not too quiet, just right on the money type of volume. Now inside the car, on the other hand, again, things do remain extremely quiet due to the inclusion of both the bullet style resonators working with the touring system mufflers. But more importantly, it's that AWE proprietary technology, the 180 tech as they call it, which is the main culprit in canceling out any of that annoying drone. It can sometimes be a little bit more pronounced with the deeper sounding systems with the H-pipe, but that's not the case here. Again, they do a really good job of nailing that technology, and as a result, you have a very pleasant experience inside the car. But getting into construction here with the touring system, let's talk a little bit more about that build quality, because the AWE stuff typically delivers top quality build. Same can be said here for the touring. You're gonna be looking at T304 grade stainless steel throughout, including the 3-inch mandrel bent tubing from tip to tip. Now, the system does include 2 bullet style resonators mounted after the H-pipe, which I don't have on the table with me here today. Obviously, you can see the 180 tech mufflers in addition to the H-pipe itself. Now, everything is going to exit out of the 4-inch double wall slash cut tips in their black diamond finish, which is my personal favorite. I think it looks sexy, looks great, but if you're more of a traditionalist, AWE does also offer a more traditional polished or chrome option instead. I do also want to point out, guys, AWE kicks in all of the clamps, hardware, everything needed for a relatively painless install. And well, if you do run into a little issue during the install, they also give you a blow pop as well to make things just that much better. All right, price point for the AWE is gonna land around 2,000 bucks, give or take a bit here, which does make this system one of the pricier non-active exhaust systems currently on the site for your S650 at home. Now, me personally, I feel like the quality of build, quality of sound are certainly worth it in this price range. And it is also worth noting that the touring system from AWE does get backed by a lifetime warranty if you should ever need it. All right, let's switch gears, talk about the installation, and nothing crazy again. This is a catback for the S650, which means you are looking at a 100% bolt-on job using a few basic hand tools. Now, the site is gonna call this a middle of the road 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, about an hour or so to get the system in place from start to finish. But now, to give you a better idea of how this one might go down in the garage or driveway at home, let's throw it out to the shop for our detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown.
Tools required for this install include an impact gun, a ratchet, an exhaust hanger remover tool, a rubber mallet, an extension, 15mm socket, 13mm swivel socket, and a pry bar. Today we're installing an exhaust on our Mustang, so let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is come to the double flange behind our cat. We have 4 15mm bolts that we can loosen up with a 15mm socket. Now we're gonna leave this just like that for now as we work on the rest. One thing to keep in mind is when we go to pull this off, this little hook is keeping this on, so you're gonna have to get a flathead screwdriver to pull back on that on both sides when we go to remove it. Next, we can come right behind our rear diff to this hanger. There's one on each side of this bracket. There's a 13mm bolt holding it on. So I've got a 13mm swivel socket on an extension to pop this off. And now we'll just come to the other side and do the same exact thing. And now with them both removed, you can push up to get those hangers off the hooks. And do that same thing on the other side. Now, the last thing we need to do before we can remove this is remove these two bolts that were on the inside of those two hangers behind the rear diff. So I'm using that same 13mm socket with an extension. Now with those removed, we can push it up off the hook and pull that down to get the clearance we need. So now I've got myself a buddy to support the weight of the rear of the exhaust while I work on the front. We're gonna push this towards the rear to disconnect these two pipes, and then we can pull it forward to pull it out of the back hangers. So now with our exhaust removed, we can take an exhaust hanger remover tool to pop off these two hangers because we will have to reuse them for our new exhaust. Now, last thing we need to pop off is our two clamps that are at the front of the exhaust. You can take a rubber mallet and get the edge of a pry bar on the edge of the clamp to tap these off. So the first thing we need to do is install our exhaust adapters. So we're going to be taking our clamps that we removed from our factory exhaust and sliding those on. Make sure that you line up that cutout with the little tab. Now if they don't slide on too smooth, you can take a rubber mallet and just tap them on until they're bottomed out on that pin. And then we're just going to slide one of these into each clamp, push them all the way in, and then grab your 15mm socket and tighten down your clamps. Next, we're going to install our H-pipe. Now I've got a pole jack back here to support the weight of the back of this until we can get some pipes into our hangers. So I'm going to take one of my clamps and slide it onto each side of my H-pipe. I want the hardware on these facing opposite directions. And then I'm going to raise this up and connect it to my previous two pipes. I want to get this straightened out flat. I've got a flex pipe on this side, so we have a little bit of play. I'm going to raise my pole jack up. And then once you have that perfectly straight, you're going to grab a 16mm socket to tighten down your clamps. Next, we're going to get our tailpipes. So take another clamp, slide it onto the edge of that pipe. And then we're going to grab the rubber isolator that we removed from our factory exhaust. Slide it onto that rod. Connect your pipe. Hook that hanger up into place in the factory location. And now we're going to leave this loose for now so that we have a little bit of adjustment here to slide our muffler onto. So we'll grab that next. It's now ready to install our muffler. So once again, take another clamp, slide it on. Now be careful of your clamp positioning here. You want to be able to get it from the front. You don't want this to be backwards up against this. So I'm going to take my rod and slide it into that isolator. I'm going to push it in until my pipes line up. And then connect them together. So now we just need to get this thing straightened out so that our tip is centered in the cutout. Now what I like to do for this is I'll get my clamp and put it right at the edge of that pipe. I'm gonna snug it up just so that it holds in that position and doesn't rotate. So right there, it's nice and good. I'm gonna do the same thing for the clamp back here. So now they're tight enough to hold, but we still have our adjustment. So now at this point, I like to swing my muffler up and take my tip, put my tip on, get it to where it's centered up in that exhaust cutout, and then I'll pull it off. And now I've got my clamps at a spot where they're not gonna rotate, so I can do this with one hand and hold the muffler with the other. And then keep holding that and tighten down your other one. So now you can throw your tip back on there. Make sure that's nice and centered in your cutout where you want it. And then on this side, we've got square holes. Now we've got a nut. It's got a square section that's gonna sit down in there. That's gonna hold our bolt. And then we're gonna thread our nut on the other side. And I'm just gonna get it tight enough so where this isn't gonna pop out of that square hole. Pop that on, center up your tip how you like it. Tighten it down with an 11mm socket. And then repeat that process on the other side. So now we just need to reinstall our bolts holding our liner and our two hangers. Now we've got two different bolts here. We've got a bolt with a captured washer and a flange bolt. The flange bolt is going into the hangers. And then the other two are gonna be for that little carpet piece. So make sure you hook it on right above those U-clips. And then thread your two bolts in. And now I'm using a ratchet with a 13mm swivel socket to tighten these down.
That's going to wrap it up for the AWE Touring Edition Catback exhaust with quad diamond black tips for your 24 and newer Mustang GT Fastback without active exhaust. Thanks for watching, and as always, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.